Good morning, everybody out there in Facebook land. So yeah, I the last couple days, whoo, a lot of purging. I'll tell you what, these viruses definitely do upgrade the system and cause you to purge out old programming, latent PTSD, and yeah, we all have different things that happened to us in the past, and sometimes you don't know when you're gonna have to deal with something until you deal with it, until there's a trigger in the environment, and then the emotional outpouring happens. And it's not always, going to be contained. Luckily, I have a medium called Facebook, and I have a platform called Jilly Juice to be able to work and process a lot of the healing process that I go through. And I'm able to channel it correctly and then find solutions and also find explanations for some of this PTSD that does get purged when not only being on the Jilly Juice, because that will happen, but also when new viruses come into the environment and they bring up things that you never knew that really it bugged you, but it did. But I push things down, okay, a lot, just because I try to fit into this world. And when you have to fit into a world that has so many issues, it's difficult to try to work on yourself and try to fit in at the same time, because there's still that reputation, there's still that pressure that you don't want people thinking that you're crazy. And so that's why I'm very almost over explanatory on everything, because you have to understand what's behind the energy. Okay. And so, yeah, I mean, I've come like with this thing with alcohol. I mean, you've been seeing me just cover this for the last, I don't know how many weeks. And it's a huge thing. I've been in contact with people from a long time ago, very dangerous. But yeah, I've been in contact with very dangerous people of my past, and I could have died in situations. Luckily, I was never super beaten up. I was never, but that could have happened to me by a very dangerous alcoholic. And so, for the grace of God, I escaped that situation. And it was pretty traumatic. And so that's when I went to Hawaii for like 6 months to just kind of deal with that and figure out what was going on in my life there. But yeah, that was a pretty intense situation. And I'll say this. And so when my husband got into that car accident where a drunk driver hit him, that just released the fucking floodgates. That really did. That released the floodgates like you would not believe. And then I started recognizing things in my life that were going down that direction or could have gone down that direction, and for myself or for other people. And I'm just like, holy crap, I can't deal with it. I cannot for the life of me go down that same road or watch someone go down that same road. And so, yeah. And so the whole thing with these Sanpaku eyes, sociopathic, psychopathic tendencies, we have some people in our society who are unbalanced, who have issues with, cancer disease, chronic illness, whatever, reproducing. And children nowadays are coming into this world, lack of empathy, predatory, and yes, have predispositions to escape their situations. And so alcohol, drugs, and all this other stuff are used as fillers for people's time, and then it brings out all their predispositions and even the worst in them. Some people say even the best in them, but that's very short-lived, because people say, oh yeah, I can do this cannabis and I'm very focused and very this, very that. I'm like, okay. But that's not going to happen forever. I mean, you're going to deplete your brain cells. You keep smoking like that. So anyways, and so this whole thing with Sanpaku, and I was chatting with Vicky, from over there in Australia, and she's dealt with some psychopathic killers or stalker psychopathic killers. And luckily, I never dealt with that situation of someone stalking me, but I've also left situations and left them intact where they wouldn't have a reason to stalk me, because the person I was in contact with a long time ago that was very psychopathic and an alcoholic after he dated me for a second, he went after a chick and her mom, and he was put in jail. And the police called me a couple of months later, or I forget how long later, and asked me to go and testify as a witness because I was one of his girlfriends or whatever from a long time ago. And I said, no, I'm not even going to get involved with that. I'm not even getting involved with that. I'm done with it. I'm not going to be, there's no justice on my end. I dealt with it. I knew, like, I put myself in a situation dating someone that I didn't have a background check on, and I met him on the internet, right? This is back in 2003 when things were kind of a little crazy, but I, was like, hey, why not try it out? So you do meet a lot of different people, but yeah, you don't know who you're meeting nowadays, right? So anyways, and I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And so who knows what happened. I didn't follow the case. If there was a case, I just let it go. And so he's left me alone because he has no reason to come after me. I'm not trying to get him in trouble. Let that chick with that situation figure it out. But I don't want any involvement. So justice isn't always going to be opportune for some women. So women have to pick and choose what they want justice for and why, because then you could put yourself in a whole world of hurt because of witness intimidation even after that. So that's why I'm very cognizant of, like, do you really want to go after this person? I mean, really, come on. Is it even worth it? And so that's one of the things that I always look at is it really worth me, since that person, I left the situation, nothing happened to me per se, but this person was in an alcoholic rage. And that's why I left that situation, because of alcoholic rage. And I thank God I was not beat up or anything like that, but it happened to the next girl. And so, I've had near misses, and alcohol was a major, major catalyst. And so when you see those kind of tendencies in people, that right there, I was like, holy shit. And so, so I don't have a lot of patience for alcoholic lifestyles or behaviors. And that's really what originated from that whole video, was the fact that, oh my God, that brought up so much shit in my world. And so I'm purging all that out. Like, I'm purging it out like you wouldn't believe. And it's not easy because it is a lifestyle for people. People condone this shit. They really do. And then they have to, and okay, I get it, but it's just no room for me. So anyways, so I see the whole Sanpaku eyes and then the natural killer cells. Okay, and natural killer cells are the first, what are they called? Natural killers are lymphocytes in the same level as T and B cells, coming from a common progenitor. However, as cells of the innate immune system, NK cells are classified as a group of group 1 innate lymphocytes and respond quickly to a wide variety of pathological challenges. Now, pathological is, it's all perspective if you're going to use it out there in the world as an example or as an analogy or metaphor. But there are killers in our society that are programmed to go after the weakest links in our society, whatever they are. I mean, when you study like serial killers, you study who they go after. You study, and that's what the detectives do. They study the behaviors of serial killers, and they're no different than natural killer cells. That what natural killer cells do is they go and look for cancers in the body. They look for anything that is really like anomalous to the major platform. And that's all how they also feed too. They feed off of the anomalies in society. So when you look at killers in our society, sociopathic, psychopathic killers in our society, they're doing the same thing. They're acting like NK cells, and they have a very specific target. Now, Vicky was saying that, that the person that was stalking her was going after single moms. Other serial killers will go after the elderly. They go after the weaker people because they don't want to fight somebody that's stronger than them. Killers are looking for always the weaker person. And then you look at then predatory behavior. Then you look at not only predatory behavior, but you look at bullies in our society. And who do they go after? They go after the weaker people. So that's no different than T cells and B cells. And then you look at all the activists in our society. You can go after different people with different thought process. So they're like more of like a not so much benign, but a shades of T cells and B cells. Oh, you shouldn't think this way. Oh, you shouldn't think that way. I don't like your politics. I don't like your stance on this. Okay? And so humans act like the human immune system when you think about it. And so, yeah, we have people in high levels of government, and we have, the biotech that program people to be kind of like that in a lot of ways. Because the curing someone in a specific state of decline, and they have these views in politics, religion, and science that are then also being triggered and being metastasized by the media, by all these different groups on Facebook, and by the medical system too. Oh, you can't be out there without a vector. You're going to be, this and that, nah. So we're just going to freeze you in the state that you're in with all your predispositions, go after your evolution and not give you all the tools to evolve. And so you're easy to control, and then we can go and profile you and compartmentalize you and make money off you. I mean, there's definitely so many facets to why the medical system exists. Because yes, they're making money off people's bodies, and they're putting people in different little groups for easier control. And yes, it's a type of uniformity too in a lot of ways, because you got to get people to go to work. You got to get them to understand finance or understand how to build a car or drive a truck or whatever. So there's definitely upsides to all this, but you could still be evolutionary and be very good at your job and not have to die in your job like the velvet coffin in these in these corporations. Because that's what I see, these corporations. I used to work for a velvet coffin life insurance company in San Francisco. Tall building with so many different departments, and you see on the walls the pictures of the old CEOs that look like from way back in the 1960s, and everything is just so like traditional and dark wood for the executive offices, and you have your cute secretary. I mean, I worked for cliches many years of my life, so I see the velvet coffins out there. People live in companies, they're born in companies, and they die in the companies. And it's just like, okay, so we call that the velvet coffin. I call it the velvet coffin. Other people call it the velvet coffin. And so, but what if we didn't have to have it be this way? But that's why we have 7 billion people in our world, because we have 7 billion people who are reproducing with so many different anomalies and deficits and major gaps in their development that, we have, from the extreme of serial killers or finding all the weaknesses in society to bullies and predators, and then to the activists who are not as a serial killer or like a major bully, but they are bullies in their own ways. And so you see the shades of NK cells and T and B cells in our society. And so that's probably why they're letting everybody out of jail, because they want all the people who are like psychopathic, right, to go and clean up society. I mean, that's kind of like, okay, is that really the intention? But I mean, look what's going on. There's a huge reset. The virus, letting all the prisoners out, all the different people fighting each other over stupid shit. Yeah, it's a major reset, and people have to be, and it's like Darwinism. When public health is going to be nil at some point, because they're saying that in Ohio and 26 other states, they're getting out their hands out of public health. And then you see here kids are being born stillborn because they don't have a helper like a vector to get them through that hard part of transitioning from the uterus to then a very dynamic environment. So you're going to have a lot of stillbirths. But eventually the parents are going to have to fill in the gaps of what those vectors did not provide, that child. And so now the pendulum's swinging the other way. Okay, no vectors, right? People don't want any vectors at all. Okay, fine. It might save some lives not having a vector, and it might end some lives, but no different than taking a vector might end some lives and save some lives. Each side of the spectrum are going to have their combination of outcomes, same outcomes, and it's just relative to the intention. My whole point is when someone wants to defend Sanpaku, I say, oh yeah, this is just a health issue. Yeah, serial killer, psychopath, sociopathic, predatory, bullies, all that stuff are health issues. Abso-freaking-lutely. And so what is the whole JJ mentality? We're trying not to produce these types of people in childhood to adulthood. That's the whole JJ mentality, is you get people when they're young, get them when they're ready to evolve, and they won't have these types of idiosyncrasies foisted upon our society and forcing everyone to deal with that shit. That's the whole point of the JJ. Salt is a cure. Salt is a catalyst to evolution. And then you have to feed all the viral energy and not try to destroy it. That's the whole point of the JJ mentality. That's it. And then you become very sensitive to the environment. Then you get sensitive to other people's viral energy. And then you're like, ooh, I don't like how this feels. I don't like how that feels. I don't like this type, and then you start laying boundaries, and people think you're crazy because everyone is so used to living these lifestyles. It's just like it's like drinking water. Okay? I'm in California, and even though alcohol was prevalent, but there was other things that were prevalent, like starving yourself and organic and non-GMO and all the left-wing activism, right? Then I'm here in Ohio, and alcohol is rampant everywhere. Right-wing personalities out here. Okay, fine. I mean, I went from one end to the spectrum to the other, which is fine. I need to experience both sides to be able to speak about both sides. If you don't understand both sides, and you don't have a really an objective point of view to have any type of opinion about anything, because you're coming from only one side, you fail to understand the other arguments. And so me living on two sides of the coast, from the most extreme to Silicon Valley, where all the flipping, the colleges that are the Ivy League colleges and biotech and Facebook and the tech industry, whatever, all the way down to the steel workers and the ones that are moving all of your food every single day. And I understand these different pools of microbiomes, and understand where they're coming from and what's going on. And maybe we don't have to have these lifestyles that are destructive, that your kids could have a chance. Okay, they won't have to trigger all their predispositions at an early age. And maybe we don't have to, produce children who are sociopathic and psychopathic. We can get them early before they start exhibiting those tendencies. So anyways, that's the whole point of what I do. Doesn't win me a lot of great reviews. People think I'm crazy. They think I'm judgmental. They think I'm this. They think I'm that. There are ways that to show someone that you care about them, and sometimes is telling the hard stuff. Some people think that joking and messing around and saying things in truth, but in a joke is like, that's how you interact and that's how you show love, whatever. You know how I show love? I say you're fucking up. That's how I show love. You're fucking up, and you're messing up your own life, and you're messing up people's lives around you. That's how I show love. If we don't agree that that's how love, if we don't agree that you don't like the way of someone showing that's how they care about you, okay, fine. Then you move on your different ways. But you know what? Everyone shows how they care about people in different ways. And so if you can tell me how, you think I'm this, and that's how you think that's how you want to relate to me, and that's how everyone relates to others. They just insult each other all the freaking time and cut each other down and not support each other, and that's how you show love. Well, then I'm going to say, this is how I show love. That's fucked up. Okay? And so, everyone's allowed to show their love and their caring in some way. You can't get mad at them. If you can dish it out, then you should be able to take it. Not everybody can dish it out and take it at the same time. Me too. I don't take a lot of people critical of me. Okay? Well, I can dish it out. But hey, quid pro quo. So, I know my own weaknesses, and I'm fine with them. Whatever, I have a very specific goal in mind, a very specific trajectory I'm going towards. And it really is going to be more in here than out there. And that's what I've chosen at this point. Okay. And especially with all the crap that's going on out there, it's probably the best choice that I'm making for myself at this point, because there's a lot that needs to be said, and the environment is just too dynamic to really want to go and hang out in, because it will work against you if that is your lifestyle, to be out there all the time. And that is people's lifestyles. I get it. But if I could find a way to help you out with that lifestyle so you don't have to die from that lifestyle, then hey, so be it. If you want to take it on. If you don't, then that's fine. But all I offer is information. That's it. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying, hey, I think your kids want to see, I think your kids want you around when they're growing up. I think, your grandchildren want you around as they're growing up. Why should you have to die from a preventable disease like cancer disease, chronic illness, and heart attacks and strokes? Why should you die from all that? Maybe you don't have to die from that. And that's all I'm doing. That's all I'm putting out there is you don't have to die from preventable diseases. And then maybe if you're fucking up, someone should say that you're fucking up. And don't kill the messenger or don't shoot the messenger, so to speak. Take that information as gold. And if you don't, then fine. All right. Bye.